I talk about it in that way, though, to be able to transition to this, that there is more and more data showing there actually is a crisis of isolation out there right now. And particularly, it's a crisis of loneliness among men. I am in the exact opposite in that at this point in my life, I want to be left alone. And for example, like I can tell, I've got stuff I got to do this afternoon. I got to cut a couple of ads for people, for advertisers, and it's part of business. I've got to do this, and I just at 3 p.m. when this microphone goes off, I don't want to see another person or talk to another person or do anything. And I've got a long list of stuff I've got to do today. I got people I got to connect to, and it's already making me anxious because I realize I'm at the point where I know I need to unplug and not have to entertain anyone for a couple of days. I know I need to not talk on the phone to people. I feel bad I haven't talked to my parents. I'm bad about calling. My mom texts enough that I feel like I'm connected, but I feel bad, and I need to just be left alone, and I can tell it. And this is why I joined a golf course, and I love being able to just go get on the golf course with 1 or 2 friends and enjoy hitting golf balls and just be left alone and turn off my phone. The other day I played golf with a buddy of mine, and I left my phone in the car and took off my watch so no one could in any way, shape, or form connect to me. And yet most men at this point are living in social isolation. And there's a friendship recession. This is from National Review. They're recounting a new study that has come out from American Survey Center and a compilation from Survey Center on American Life. The percentage of men with at least 6 close friends fell by half since 1990, from 55% to 27%. The study also found the percentage of men without any close friends jumped from 3% to 15%, a 5-fold increase. Single men fare the worst. 1 in 5 American men who are unmarried and not in a romantic relationship report not having any close friends. Even men with a couple of close friends are not in great shape. When it comes to our social circle, size matters. Americans with 1 close friend are not any less lonely or isolated than those without any close friends, and those with a couple of close confidants are only modestly better off. For those with 3 or fewer close friends, loneliness and isolation are fairly common experiences. More than half say they felt that way at least once in the past 7 days. And the bad news doesn't end there. Not only do men have smaller friendship circles, they report being less emotionally connected to the friends they do have. Both men and women benefit from developing strong emotional bonds with their friends, but women are more successful in establishing these types of friendships. The study finds that women report far higher rates of emotional engagement with and support from their friends. This type of intimacy matters. Americans who receive regular emotional support from their friends are far less likely to report feeling anxious or alone than those who do not, and this is true independent of how many friends they have. And and this is why I speak about this in personal terms, because I tell you guys, I am anxious about the number of people I have connecting constantly now. I'm anxious about it. And I really think the number of friends that I actually have who are, I would call them close confidants, is smaller than ever. I have more and more people that I'm connected to in my life with friendly connections, and fewer who I want to hang out and have deep, meaningful conversations with, who I feel like I can connect to. And I can tell this in my life. I had a friend for a while who I talked to on an almost daily basis about everything. And I very few people I have like that in my life at the moment. And I'm at the high end, but what I'm finding and what these studies are showing and what you have to be mindful of in terms of mental health, in particular for men, is that more and more men in particular have regular contact with a large group of people, none of which is really meaningful or fulfilling. So you have lots of people who want to be a part of your life, but don't want to go deeply into your life, or you don't feel you can trust to go that deeply into your life, and it's actually throwing people off mentally because you don't have a lot of people you can share things. And I'll just tell you, and again, I'm speaking in personal terms because I don't want to put anyone on the spot, and I bet most of you can relate to this if you're a man or a woman. Every single one of us who is married or not has things we want to talk about and share meaningfully with friends that we don't necessarily want to talk to our spouse about, or our parents about, or in some cases our siblings about. We want to be able to process it with someone we view as more removed from the situation. And all of us have fewer, which is one reason why therapists are going through the roof right now. There are more and more people going to therapy. But over time, it begins to have a mental issue. The rise of therapists and psychotherapists is actually not healthy for society. And it's one of those reasons why I really, as much as I talk about wanting to keep people at arm's length right now, I feel like I need to. I've had a series of weeks where I've had to be in constant contact with a large group of people, and I just, as an introvert, need a break. There's also something to be said for getting a group of people together for meaningful interaction every once in a while. I belong to a group that meets once a month, except during the summer. We're not right now, and it's kind of odd in that it's you deliver academic papers. I know. Kind of fell into it, but I feel like I should once a month have interactions with a group of people where we just get together and have a drink and relax. And what I have now is on Sunday nights, a small group of friends, oftentimes just one, gets together on my front porch, and we spend the night and having glasses of bourbon and smoking cigars. And it does me a world of good to have that meaningful interaction with one person or two or three people. What is striking is how that's not happening at all for a lot of men. And it's not just that they don't have that meaningful interaction at all. The default is that you're going out with groups of people where you have lots of contact with lots of people and no meaningful interaction with any single one of them. It's causing mental health problems for a lot of men out there. It's causing depression. It's causing despair. But then there's something else. And let me talk very specifically to those of you who are married, particularly those of you who are married and have kids. It is overwhelmingly common for men and women who have children and are married to isolate within the family. And at some point, all of us need a break even from our family. And that's just the truth. None of us wants to talk about it. We feel guilty for saying it, but sometimes you need a break from your spouse and from your kids. And in the 21st century, it is harder and harder and harder to get that. And frankly, society and advertising culture make you feel guilty for thinking you need that break, but everybody does. And with men in particular, even more so than women, they feel an obligation to isolate from their friends. I am now at 46. My kids are 11 or 12 and 15. I feel guilty to this day if I want to go out and play golf and with a buddy of mine in the afternoon, because shouldn't I be spending time with the family? Shouldn't I stay home? And I more and more feel compelled to know I need to go. I need to take a time out. I need to take a break. And I realize I'm somewhat rambling here, but the point here is the data backs me up on this. And the data is showing we have a crisis in mental health, particularly for men in this country right now, as they have given up meaningful relationships with a small number of people for minimal relationships with a maximum number of people, or have so removed themselves at all, they're not coming into contact with anyone at all. And do you know what the side point of this is? It corresponds to a decrease in men going to church. Women in this country continue to go to church. Men in this country do not. And their isolation corresponds to a decrease in engagement in church and civic organizations. The moral of the story is get yourself involved in a spiritual community, and you actually do better long term, because the more men are isolating from everyone, including from spiritual activities like a church, the rate of suicide, depression, and alcoholism and drug abuse is going up in the country. You want to solve those problems, get yourself plugged in. And if you're not a religious person, find a civic or a non-political civic organization to get yourself involved with, where you can actually plug in. And you know what? Here's the thing. I got to tell myself this. You must force yourself to do this because otherwise you're not going to, and it's going to have long-term detrimental impact on you.